Welcome to the Blue Collar University podcast, where we talk about issues that matter to leaders, managers, and supervisors. I'm your host, Bart Gregg, and in this episode we ask the question, do you know if your employees feel safe enough to tell you the truth? Glenn is VP at a large multinational construction company. He was in one of the training sessions where I used the ASH experiment to make a point about whether or not people are willing to disagree with their leadership and tell them the truth. Our story today is about two training sessions. The first one was where I was working with the executive team of 11, and the second one was where we worked with that company's entire management and supervision staff of 60 people. On the afternoon before the big session, all of the executives were seated around a long conference table. Up on the screen was a slide with 4 vertical bars. 3 of them were on the left side of the screen and were labeled A, B, and C. Each bar had a different height. On the right side was a 4th bar marked Target Bar, and it was very obviously the same height as B. A few days before the workshop, I had asked the CEO to pick a few members of the executive team. We swore them to secrecy and gave them these instructions. When I ask which bar the target matches, your answer is A. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter how I look, your answer is A. We'll start with Chris, the CEO, and he'll thoughtfully answer, A. Then he'll choose the next in line, and so on. Each of you 4 responds A. Do not tell anyone about this secret. During the session, Chris and the 4 men and women he had chosen to know about the secret all answered A as instructed. As we went around the large conference table, you could read the body language of the 7 of those that were not in on the secret. Some people held themselves so still you couldn't see them breathe. They didn't blink. They tried not to show any signs that they were confused, disagreed, or wondering whether their leaders had really completely lost their minds. But in trying not to send signals, they were screaming, I can't believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I can't believe I'm agreeing with them. Their leaders were leaders for a reason, right? They had to be right. It had to be A. The smartest, most powerful people in the room were saying the correct answer is A. Surely it must be, even if it wasn't. Eventually, we got to the 10th team member, Glenn. We could tell that Glenn was nervous. He'd been shifting in his seat, clenching and unclenching his fists, and at one point I thought he was going to snap his pencil in half. When I asked him for his answer, Glenn stammered, I might get fired for saying this, but I don't agree with you. In his shaky voice, he said, the answer is not A. You almost had me believing it, but it is not A. It is B. Imagine everyone's relief when we told them what the exercise was about. You could feel the room come alive as people remembered to breathe again and began laughing and chatting about the exercise. The next day, the entire leadership training session, including the executive team and the rest of the managers and supervisors, totaled over 60 people. This time, the entire leadership team was in on the secret. So when the slide went up on the screen, I asked Chris again, which bar matches the target bar? Chris answered A, and then the next executive answered A. All 11 executives said A. After they finished, we opened up the question to the room. People were staring at the slide in disbelief, or they were looking down, trying not to make eye contact with anybody. They didn't look at leadership. They didn't look at their buddies sitting next to them. They looked at me with eyes that asked, are you freaking kidding me right now? They stared at the slide, willing it to jump off the screen and tell the truth. No one spoke up, so I chose a few people at random. All agreed hesitantly that A was the correct answer. Somewhere around 7 minutes into this, a young woman made a move that caught my attention. She was slowly raising her left hand, with her right hand pushing up her left elbow as if her muscles weren't responding. I said, yes, Malin. She raised her chin, stood up, squared her shoulders, and said, I might get fired for saying this, but I don't agree with you. The answer is B. At this point, one of the best moments I've ever witnessed in a training session happened. Chris, the CEO, stood up and said, you're right, it is not A, it is B. He looked around the room and said, the point of this exercise is to show you that even if the leadership team all agrees on an answer, we can all be wrong. We need you to step up and tell the truth as you see it. Here's the killer thought. People were afraid of losing their jobs when all we were talking about were 4 bars on a slide with no meaning whatsoever. How do you know whether your people feel safe enough to tell the truth? Thank you for listening to this episode of the Blue Collar University podcast. For more tips from managers, leaders, and supervisors, or if you'd just like to reach out to us, visit us at www.bluecollaru.com. Until next time.